Allahu Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim.
Right there, bro. There we go. What the heck, man? Alright, so I don't know what's going on, but there's like some crazy guy up here, and there's literally nobody around us.
Going camping in the dead of night can be one of the most peaceful experiences, unless you start to feel like you're not alone in the dark. For the team behind the Off the Walls After Hours channel, what began as a nighttime adventure in the woods quickly shifted from campfire laughter to a chilling encounter. At first, everything seemed normal. A group of friends had ventured deep into the forest, bringing tents, fire-starting gear, snacks, and tools to build a simple bridge over a small stream. As darkness fell, they began gathering branches and logs for the bridge, joking and laughing together. The atmosphere was cheerful, but as the hours passed, the mood began to change. The first strange sign came while they were building the bridge. A deep, thunderous sound echoed through the trees. At first, they thought it might have been a branch, or even a small tree falling, but the noise was heavy and unnatural. One member of the group was certain the sound came from above them, while others insisted it came from deep in the forest behind them.
You want to explain what we heard?
We heard a big boom above us, which we think of
Well, I
as the
don't know
tracks.
if it was above us, bro. Real shit. 100% feel like that came from behind us.
Oh, that's lighting up good.
Oh, yeah. The boom was weird, wasn't it, Tony?
Yes, it was. Definitely weird. Freaked us all out.
Yeah, don't know about that.
They tried to brush it off and returned to the fire. Once the bridge was finished and tents were set up, they started cooking and snacking again, even laughing about the strange noise. Still, the uneasy feeling lingered. Slowly, new sounds began to emerge. The most terrifying moment came when everyone fell silent to listen more closely. Suddenly, a sharp whistle cut through the stillness from somewhere off the trail. Moments later, they heard something heavy crash, metal clanging near the tents as if it had hit one of the supply boxes or the grill. They quickly aimed their flashlights toward the noise, hoping to catch a glimpse of an animal, but the forest remained quiet. A debate broke out. Maybe it was just the wind, but most weren't convinced. The idea that something was lurking nearby began to take root.
There's nothing.
Nothing at all. What is that?
It might be just a creaking, bro. It's old.
That's not a creek, though.
Sounds like something's getting thrown.
It sounds like something walking on it, you know?
They eventually decided to take a short walk down the trail to calm their nerves, but as soon as they moved out of the firelight's reach, a distant scream echoed through the trees, a different kind of sound. Everyone turned back. No one wanted to be caught deeper in the forest if that thing got closer. Back around the fire, the laughter didn't return so easily.
100% just heard talking in the distance. You hear that? I don't hear it anymore.
Some tried to ease the tension with jokes, but others sat in silence, listening, waiting for the night to pass without another incident. They didn't capture a clear image or record any definitive sound, but they all left the forest with the same shared feeling. Something was out there. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel to help us reach 1,000 subscribers and to not miss more content like this. Now, let's jump into the next video. This video is from the Under the Weather channel, where James showcases his boundless passion, exploration, and adventure. Whether he's searching for mysterious locations, trekking through the depths of nature, or testing his survival skills in harsh environments, he is always in pursuit of a new challenge. In this episode, James embarks on a solo journey to Machar Stones, an enigmatic stone structure hidden deep within the wild landscapes of Stirlingshire, Scotland. Estimated to be over 5,000 years old, these ancient stones hold countless secrets. Shrouded in legend and mystery, this site is an ideal destination for adventurous explorers. James plans to traverse dense forests, reach this area, spend the night there, and forge a deeper connection with nature. However, what begins as a peaceful and exciting expedition soon turns into a haunting experience. On March 1st, 2024, James sets off with enthusiasm and full preparedness. He had attempted to locate this place multiple times before, but always encountered challenges along the way. This time, more determined than ever, he ventures into the forest with a backpack full of gear and a focused mindset, unaware that something beyond his expectations lurks in the wilderness.
Welcome back. On our way to find some 5,000-year-old standing stones. They were placed there by druids many moons ago. I've tried to find this place a few times and I got lost every single time, so let's hope.
After navigating a long and winding path, getting lost multiple times and finding his way again, he finally reaches Machar Stones. Wasting no time, he sets up camp to prepare for the night.
But it's been very close. It's like it's looking for someone, if you know what I mean, or search and rescue. Hope they don't come looking for me. Anyway, that's us. I'll see you from this angle.
As the sun sets and the temperature drops, James prepares his dinner in the silent embrace of nature. Suddenly, the sound of a low-flying helicopter catches his attention. It seems to be searching for something, or someone. But why? As the night deepens, the silence grows heavier until, without warning, an unexpected sound pierces the darkness. A sound unlike anything he has ever heard before. A strange weight fills the atmosphere, as if something unseen is watching. He scans his surroundings but sees nothing. With cautious steps, he approaches Machar Stones, gazing at them in the darkness. An unsettling feeling washes over him.
Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. Shit. I just heard laughing there. Or something. No way.
After a restless night, dawn finally arrives. The sunlight brings a momentary sense of relief, and James begins packing up his gear. But suddenly, something strange catches his eye. A mysterious mark among the trees. In that moment, a terrifying realization dawns on him. He might not have been alone from the very beginning. The eerie sounds, the haunting silence of the night, and now this disturbing sign, all of it points to a dark and unsettling truth. Without hesitation, James gathers his belongings and rushes away from the site. Every rustling leaf, every shifting shadow between the trees fuels his anxiety. At last, after a tense escape, he reaches a safe area and breathes a sigh of relief. But deep down, he knows that what he experienced in that forest will stay with him forever. On April 1st, 2025, an Indonesian-speaking family running a new YouTube channel called Hayu Adventure set out on what was meant to be a peaceful camping trip by the sea. A getaway filled with seaside cooking, family meals, and a calm overnight stay near Pantai Randanga, a remote beach in Indonesia. But the night turned out to be anything but peaceful. At the start of the trip, the family was in high spirits, preparing food and enjoying time with the kids. As the sun dipped below the horizon, rain clouds rolled in and a thick, damp fog settled over the camp. That's when the strange occurrences began. One of the children suddenly claimed to have seen a shadow behind the tent. At first, the adults thought it was just a tired imagination or a harmless joke. But then a second child reported seeing something unusual, and then a third. This time, the family took it seriously and began searching the area with flashlights. What the camera captured was deeply unsettling, fast, darting shapes that appeared only at the edges of the light, creatures that resembled neither animals nor humans, moving with unnaturally high speed. Despite growing concern, the family decided to stay the night, convincing themselves it might all be a trick of the mind. They returned to the tent and tried to lighten the mood with laughter and jokes for the children's sake. But things only got worse. Not long after, eerie whispering sounds began to drift in from outside the tent, coming from multiple directions, even though no one was supposed to be around for miles. One of the most terrifying moments came when their camera captured several pairs of glowing eyes, as if creatures were watching from the darkness. Then, shadowy figures began to appear, tall, human-like shapes hiding behind trees and then reappearing in different spots. One particularly chilling clip showed a shadow darting quickly across the back of the tent. The father tried to keep the children calm, distracting them and downplaying the events, but the reality was undeniable. Eventually, the family decided it was best to leave immediately. The frightened children silently helped pack up. With the last of their gear hastily stuffed into bags, the family left the campsite and made their way home in the dark without looking back. Leon is one of those people deeply drawn to wild, untamed nature. He runs the Good Bloke Outdoors channel, but this time he set out to challenge himself, solo camping in the heart of a violent storm, where wind speeds neared 100 kilometers per hour. Just reaching the campsite was a true struggle. The wind was so fierce it nearly knocked him over as he climbed. The path was grueling, with visibility close to zero. He could hardly see a thing, and the higher he went, the stronger the wind became.
I was actually struggling to open that gate then. The wind behind that wall sounds absolutely ruthless.
Setting up his gear was another battle. Behind a stone wall, the roar of the wind was feral and relentless. Luckily, he found a slightly more sheltered spot where the mountains softened the gusts a bit. After a lot of effort, he found a protected corner next to the stone wall and pitched his tent. He secured every item tightly as the wind kept trying to rip everything away. The space was extremely limited, and he had to shift the tent around to find enough room for setup. As darkness fell and conditions worsened, Leon crawled into his sleeping bag, trying to preserve what little warmth he had. The wind only grew stronger, shaking the tent so violently it felt like it might tear it from the ground. He was trapped in what felt like a raging tempest. Eventually, he had to put his wet clothes back on to stay warm. To heat his body and calm his mind, he cooked a salmon fillet inside the tent. He had to eat something to have the strength to make it through the night.
Lovely. Bit of salmon. Crispy skin as well on bottom. Sweaty socks and gloves next to my head. And I know that doesn't look a lot on the plate obviously, but I've got another salmon fillet and some more broccoli, so I can have that meal again at some point tonight.
Later, as the wind howled louder and the tent trembled harder, he put on his headphones in an attempt to block out the noise. But it was useless. The roar of the storm overpowered everything. The hours dragged on, a blur of brief naps and sudden awakenings with every gust. It always felt like the tent could collapse at any moment. Around 7 a.m., Leon reached his limit. Staying any longer wasn't an option. As the sun began to rise, he hurriedly packed his gear, fighting the wind as it tried to snatch everything from his hands. The return was even harder. Every step felt like a battle, his body tossed from side to side. When he finally reached his car, a wave of relief washed over him. He was completely exhausted, but he had made it through the brutal night. The experience delivered a clear message. Danger isn't always hidden deep in the wilderness. Sometimes the greatest threat is nature's raw, unstoppable power. A video published on September 17th, 2024 by the YouTube channel Guess It Official captured a thrilling and unsettling night inside a traditional Joglo-style house hidden deep within the forests of Indonesia. The house, abandoned for years, had gained a reputation as a cursed place. Rumors surrounded it. Tales of dark spirits, strange sounds at night, and shadows that would suddenly appear and vanish. The explorer and his friend, fully aware of the legends, chose to camp just outside the house rather than sleep inside, hoping to keep some distance from any potential danger. Even before sunset, subtle signs of unease began to surface, but what followed after dark was far stranger. They had pitched a tent nearby instead of staying in the house, thinking it would be safer. However, that precaution proved ineffective. During the night, suspicious noises were heard outside the tent. Both of them immediately woke up and scanned the surroundings with their flashlights. That's when one of them spotted a pale white figure moving quickly across the clearing. Its appearance was thin, disheveled, and its movements unnatural. It closely matched descriptions of a kuntilanak, a ghost often reported in forested areas. One of them decided to take his camera and enter the house alone. Every step echoed strangely. The camera started malfunctioning, lights dimmed, and indistinct whispers floated through the silence. Suddenly, a door slammed shut behind him, despite there being no wind and no visible presence. Above him, the sound of footsteps could be heard, even though the house had no upper floor.
Allah Akbar, Mas! Woi! Mas! Astagfirullahaladzim! Woi! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Ya, asap. Dan. Aduh. Aduh. Iki bakal nembe po. Sing nguji aku.
Ora. Tak kira sampeyan mau.
Dan.
Lah sampeyan piye ditarik mau piye, Mas?
Hah? Nutup dhewe kene lho.
In the back of the house, he was overcome by a heavy sense of being watched. His flashlight flickered again, and a sound like fingernails dragging across wood echoed in the room. From outside, his friend shouted that he had seen the white figure again. This time, standing still and staring through the window, they tried to remain calm and continued filming, but then something happened that changed everything. One of them felt something touch his back, like a hand resting firmly on his shoulder. When he spun around in panic, no one was there. The pressure vanished, but the fear remained.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Ya Allah. Allah Akbar. Pak Ali. Weh. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Maafin apa ya? Siapa kamu? Astagfirullahaladzim ya Allah. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar salah. Allah Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Aduh, senterku. Allah Akbar. Weh. Weh. Allah Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Allah Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Allah Akbar. Aduh. Ya Allah. Allah Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Aduh, Pak Ali. Bang.
He rushed toward the door, only for it to suddenly slam shut in front of him. Eventually, he managed to open it and jumped outside. His friend was already gathering the gear and urgently insisting they leave immediately. The two of them fled in a state of shock and panic. This wasn't just about seeing shadows or hearing strange sounds. It was the oppressive, threatening presence that had followed them from the moment they arrived, growing ever closer until it was close enough to make physical contact. On April 9th, 2025, the YouTube channel Man Dog Wild released a new video. Like many of his previous adventures, the video began with an evening hike in the mountains, where he walked alongside his loyal dog, Yeti. The scenery was beautiful and peaceful. This area, known locally as the Skinwalker Mountains, has a long history of strange events, unsettling sightings, and mysterious legends. The air was cool and the sunlight was fading. As usual, Yeti moved ahead with great energy.
Yeti.
Yeti is either one of two things.
She's a very simple dog. She's either completely unstable and constant zoomies, or she's very serious. And right now she's slowed down and she'll stop and she'll want me to follow her to take me somewhere or show me something.
But suddenly his behavior changed. He slowed down, stopped, and seemed to be waiting for something. They had, as always, arrived a little before nightfall to explore an area filled with abandoned roads. While walking down one of these dirt paths, Yeti encountered a narrow trail and reacted differently, signaling he had found something. Instead of his usual energetic behavior, the dog stayed close to the narrator, moving forward slowly and with complete focus. Those familiar with hunting dogs know that such a change in behavior does not happen without reason. Soon, Yeti's behavior led them off the main road and onto a little-used, overgrown path that disappeared deeper into the forest. Without hesitation, the man followed, trusting his dog, who had previously led him to strange discoveries. The further they went, the narrower the path became, and the more the surrounding silence closed in. As the last traces of daylight faded, the man realized just how far they had wandered from any safe known route. Suddenly, they found something. Hidden under the grass and dirt, something unexpected appeared. A real, full-sized baby stroller abandoned deep in the woods, with what looked like a doll sitting inside. But it wasn't just the stroller that made the scene unsettling. It was the thought that someone had intentionally brought it this far into the wilderness.
It looks like a... No idea. Wow. That's just scary, huh?
There were no houses nearby, no camps, and no signs of human activity. Someone had placed these items here for a specific reason. The doll's face was worn, and its eyes, in the dim light, appeared to glow unnaturally, creating a disturbing sense of unease rather than innocence. Beyond the eeriness of the doll, something else heightened the tension. Near the stroller, on a large rock, there was a symbol or marking. It was burned into the stone, blackened as if scorched by intense heat. Its shape was unclear and perhaps a tribal or ritual symbol, but it was difficult to interpret. What was obvious was that it hadn't been made randomly. There was intention behind it. The narrator speculates that it could be a marker for hunters or might have connections to religious or spiritual ceremonies. However, the burned appearance of the symbol made the atmosphere much darker and more troubling.
That's super strange, huh? Like burnt into the rock.
As they began to leave the area, they noticed flashing lights along the mountain ridge. The narrator explains that he filmed the lights, but whenever he turned off his flashlight to avoid being seen, the lights would also disappear. There was no sound, no visible movement, just silence and flickering lights, increasing the feeling of danger. Then an eerie sound broke the silence. It wasn't the sound of a human or an animal. It was a high-pitched, sharp, continuous frequency, much like a dog whistle but far more intense. The sound seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The narrator recalls that similar high-frequency sounds are sometimes used in cities to keep people away from certain areas. But deep in the mountains, hearing such a sound felt more like a warning or a message. Meanwhile, Yeti remained unusually calm. He didn't bark, didn't grow restless, and didn't chase after anything. For a dog who normally reacted to every sound and scent, this eerie calmness was even more unsettling. The man decided to take a different, more open path back to safety, avoiding the narrow trail they had come from. He no longer saw the lights, and the source of the sound and the meaning behind the burned symbol remained an unsolved mystery. What do you think about this experience? Let me know in the comments.